We all want to be able to provide the resources that you need to service our communities and keep your troopers safe, but we're talking about a $136 million gap. And in your testimony, I read that it's a formula that is fair and equitable. Yet I represent Indiana County, and we have maybe 2 or 3 local police departments in the county, most of it otherwise serviced by the state police. But in looking at the numbers, and this is where I'm concerned. First of all, it's going to be very difficult for our rural municipalities, boroughs, to be able to afford, to pay this fee to begin with. But just looking at some of the numbers, and some of these urban communities, for example, Worcester Township in this part of the state, with a median income of $139,000, their residents would per capita or per person would only pay $9.62. Yet in Armagh Borough, which is in the area that I represent, where the median income is only $81,000, they're going to pay $92 per person. So I'm trying to understand, how did we arrive at this formula, and is this the best way? As I said, we all want to make sure you have the funding that you need to do the job that you need to do, but is this the best way to fill that $136 million gap?
In the past many years, there's always been some type of fee proposal that's been put out there. Some have been looked at in different ways. There was a sliding fee, a $25 fee, some other ones out there. Internally, we looked down. Last year, we provided incidents to everyone for the municipalities as well. No one really got back to us on anything. So we took it upon ourselves this year to actually sit down and try and look at a formula that might work, utilizing income as well as population, whether they have a full, part-time, or no police department, and try and come up with a formula where we're able to fund that gap being removed from us from the motor license fund. So we worked the numbers. We came up with these different proposals here, and we were able to come up with some numbers. Initially, we formulated it, and it came up with about $98 million. Working a little differently with the numbers, we did also work it in several other ways, looking at some of our stations that are forced minimums and some other things. Keeping in mind, we are concerned about the rural communities, because that's where we should be doing some of our greater work. We understand that some of these communities don't have the resources out there. The proposals before did not take into account municipalities that had full-time law enforcement. This spreads it out across the entire Commonwealth. If you go back to last year, I know we'll talk about Hempfield Township. They were going to have to pay over $7 million in that proposal. Adjusting it with this set of circumstances that we have, they only pay over $3 million. However, there was concern about what are we doing down in the city of Philadelphia. They don't pay anything, but we do a lot of work down there as well. We have the interstate highways there that we patrol. They are ours as well. So we looked at that as well, and they're going to pay 97 cents a person and pay over $1 million towards this whole thing here. We based this on the cost per station, basically, for the municipalities that are served by that station or under that station. We looked at the total costs, and then we looked at the yearly cost, divided that by a total population of the station area, and came up with the cost per person pre-factor, basically. We then looked at the cost per municipality, which is equal to the population times that cost per person pre-factor. So factoring all that in, we came up with the income tiers. I think we have 5 in there, and we have 3 different tiers for police, whether you have full-time, part-time, or no service, and strictly funded by the state police. Looking at the big picture of all this, this only gets us about 18.5% back of all our operating costs for all those stations that are out there. So it's not like we're driving all this money just to fund us entirely. It's only getting us about 18.5%. And when you look at municipalities that have full-time or part-time police coverage, we're still doing work there. And I want to talk about police or patrol work, criminal work here. I'm not talking about lab services or aviation assets or all of those other things, which we do also, but this isn't even included in this package here. This is stuff basically driven for patrol and crime-related functions in those areas. In 2019, we did over 216,000 calls for service in municipalities that have full or part-time police agencies. Some of those totals are, we had over 3,065 criminal investigations in those areas. That included 22 homicides, 135 death investigations, assault investigations, 837, some robbery investigations, sex offense investigations in a number of 571, and theft investigations of 1,482. So there's some of the things that we're doing in these municipalities, although they're not funding us in any way.
Right, right.
Also, just one more comment, traffic investigations in 2019 in local municipalities, we had 7,155. Crash investigations were 2,090, and we did 5,065 DUI arrests in those municipalities as well.
Well, thank you. I appreciate what you're trying to do, you know, fill the budget gaps. It's going to be hard for these rural communities to cover that, though. And a lot of them tell me, you know, we are already paying our taxes. Why do we have to pay again? And that's the argument that we hear back home. But I'm out of time, so I appreciate your testimony and your presence here today. Thank you.